Hi, William Gilmore here for the ScreenwritersJourney.com, and this is ScriptTalk, our ongoing series of conversations with screenwriters, directors, producers, and actors. And today we are talking with a screenwriter who's also a producer and a director. So we're getting 3 in 1 here. You've probably seen his work in films such as The Lion King, Pocahontas, and The Hunchback of Notre Dame. But more recently, he has been creating his own films, and I am pleased to welcome here to Script Talk, Mr. Brooks Campbell. Thank you, Brooks, for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I have to say, a bit of a disclaimer here. I did work with Brooks on a film called Subprime.
That's right.
That was all about the subprime crisis, and that was a very interesting project.
Yeah. Subprime, well, I co-wrote it with Jeff Wright.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was...
And my wife, Nancy.
Okay. Yeah, don't leave her out.
Oh, no.
Now, this is a film that is not just about the subprime crisis, but it was written during the subprime crisis and then shot during the Great Recession, which I thought was just a fascinating connection all the way around there. Where did you come up with that?
Subprime, it was funny. We were boating, and I was just obsessed. We were out, I think we were in Long Beach somewhere. And at that time, I was just obsessed with the whole housing market because I just wanted to buy a house, and I couldn't buy a house, and the houses were just so expensive that nobody could afford them at the time. This was, what, 2005 or 6 or something like that? They'd just gone up. They doubled. And I just knew, that the market was going to crash. And I think Nancy's the one that said, she's basically said, well, you should do a movie about that, about the market crashing and the family all having to live together. And I thought, oh, that's a great idea. What a great idea. So from there, we just kind of worked out the whole story, and Jeff came along and made it funny.
Now, one of the things that you did to try and save some money on this is that you used your own house for the setting, and basically let the actors come in and just trash it. We tore that place to shreds. The Thanksgiving dinner food fight scene was one of my favorite, I think.
Cranberries are a go.
Not at the camera.
We went up to scene 19AL, which means there were 39 different camera setups for that scene.
This is scene 19, Arts and Entertainment. Take 1, Mark.
And a lot of those involved throwing food. The whole place was coated with food by the end.
Where's the au gratin potatoes?
You know that?
You had mashed potatoes on the walls, peas on the carpets, a turkey flying across the room.
Chuck straight across fast as hard as you can.
It was a very fun but messy scene.
When I planned to do Subprime, I was renting a home that I planned to continue to rent, and then we were buying another home that was foreclosed and barely livable, and we were going to go live in that house, and then actually shoot in the house that we were renting. But the other house, it didn't happen. The other house never happened. So we ended up having to just live in the house while we were shooting.
Now, that was your second film, but you had a film before that, right?
Rupert Patterson Wants to Be a Superhero.
So now, how did you come up with the idea for Rupert?
When I was a little kid, there was a kid in the neighborhood that rode around on a bike, and he had an old police radio.
That boy is one pie short of a bake sale.
And he would talk on the radio, and he kind of kept to himself, and he was always coming up to us and trying to arrest us for certain things, and he was a little off. And so some of the stuff that we did in Rupert, we did to him. We were kind of the bullies.
Oh.
So
you were the bullies. You were the bad guys in real life.
we weren't so much bullies. I guess we weren't really bullies, but we weren't. We had some fun with him. We'll just say that.
Okay. Where is the real life Rupert today?
I don't know. I honestly don't even remember his name. I'm sure he'll be Facebooking me soon.
Okay. Now, how big of a project? I mean, this was a fairly large project.
Rupert?
Yeah.
Yeah, it ended up being pretty large. I was working on The Lion King at the time when I was writing it, and The Lion King did really well. And surprising to me, they gave everybody nice little bonuses. You know, most people, smart people, put money in the stock market or bought homes, and I took mine and made Rupert.
And how did that work out for you?
Pretty well, actually. It did really well. We got our money back, and it was sold to a company called Sullivan Entertainment up in Canada, and they made 2 seasons with the BBC, 2 seasons of, they called it Superhero, but they used the same characters. And I found it on DVD a few years ago. It was pretty cool.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, now you've got your 3rd movie now, Ladybug. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what it's about?
Ladybug is basically 2 really dysfunctional people coming together and being stuck together on a disabled boat that's floating out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And they really are possibly the worst people each of them could run into.
Ladybug, Ladybug, fly away home.
Now, where did the idea for Ladybug come from?
This film came from when I first bought my boat back in 2005. I bought a boat, and as soon as I bought it, I'm like, wow, I should make a boat. I should make a movie about a boat with people on a boat. What can I do? And even back then, I'm like, well, maybe I could do some kind of where the boat, the engine doesn't work or something, and these people are stuck, and it's kind of like a dinner with Andre on a boat kind of movie. So it literally came to me 10 years ago. Yeah.
Well, it's another one of your self-contained films. They seem to be getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
Shrinking it down
The
to the
budgets
house.
are getting smaller.
Okay, well. So these are all things that you're thinking about as the screenwriter producer.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Totally have to consider if I'm going to do this myself. Knowing how things are out there, knowing that it's very hard to raise money to make a film, but also knowing that the cameras and the lenses and the equipment has become really, really cheap. A filmmaker can go out and make his own film now.
And how soon after Subprime did you know that you wanted to make another movie?
About a weekend.
Really?
Honestly. Yeah, no. Every time I make a movie, I kind of go through a little bit of a depression, and it's time to make another one. Whatever that is, now I've got to change my focus. So basically, right after Subprime, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do next? And I basically have a little process that I have to go through. I have to say, okay, what can I spend maybe 4 or 5 years of my life doing? What kind of world can I live in for 4 or 5 years? And I wasn't really sure. I never thought I could do like a horror film, because I just didn't think I could live in that place that long. But after Subprime, I realized, and I think I more than anything, trying to do a comedy, I realized that suspense is so important. Suspense is a really important part of all filmmaking. And in order to engage an audience, you have to set up that suspense, and you have to draw that out for a certain amount of time. So I think I really dove into what can I learn about suspense, and I really wanted to do a suspense thriller after that, which is such a different type of movie. I just wanted to do something completely different.
Well, I have to say there has been a definite sort of a downward progression in the style of your films here, Brooks. You know, we're talking, the first one was a sort of lighthearted family, comedy. Then go into the darkness of the subprime crisis, and now we're trapped on a boat with these two deranged individuals. There's definitely a darkness to your writing here.
I know. I don't know why that is, because boy, you go to my house when you're around my kids and everybody's happy, and it's the complete opposite of that. But I think that's what I was trying to learn with Ladybug, is suspense. How do I create that tension and keep that tension going? So you've got to have a foundation of darkness, I guess, to build it on.
So how long did it take to write the screenplay for Ladybug?
When I first started the rough draft was probably somewhere in 2010, 2011. So by the time we shot it in 2013, I guess it took a year and a half.
How many drafts do you think you went through?
Oh boy, 20, 30.
Really, that many?
Oh sure, oh sure.
So how long from the time you finished the script until you were able to actually start shooting?
The script, I think I kept working on the script right up until we shot. But I had probably a working draft a year before that. So let's say 2012, I had a working draft of it. And so I started looking to cast it, thinking that once I literally had no money at all to do this, none. I had a camera, and what I would do is I would every week, if I had enough money and if I didn't eat lunch that whole week, I guess, I would go out and buy one piece of equipment. If it was a lens or maybe a filter of some kind, maybe a tripod. Sometimes, a tripod you have to save a couple weeks for. But that was my goal, and every day I did something on the script. I did storyboards. Every day I had a process that every day I did something. And every week I would try to buy one piece of equipment until I had like a minimal amount of equipment to go out and make this film, right? Once I had the equipment, I ran into and luckily met Chris Showerman, and had him do like a screen test for it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is perfect, right? So it worked out great. So as soon as I had Chris on, I started trying to cast for Lexi, and we ran ads and stuff, and came across Rachel, who did a screen test with Chris, and we cut it together. And I'm like, wow, this kind of works. I was really wanting to know about the suspense. So there's a poker scene where they're playing poker together on the boat, and I wanted to draw that out and really get that tension and see if I couldn't really make that work with those actors. And we cut it together. It was just them reading in a conference room, but it cut together and it felt cool. So
what was it like hearing your words read out loud for that first time in that reading?
Oh, that's the best. I think that's the thrill of it all. That's the high you get when you have an idea, and then you write it, and then you rewrite it, and you rewrite it, and you rewrite it, and then you finally put it all together, and you hear somebody say those words, and then this idea becomes alive, comes to life. It's really amazing.
How long did you have to shoot? What was your production schedule like?
We ended up with a 12-day schedule. We were on the water for 9 days. Jeff Rigler from Rigler Digital came in and helped us with some production funds. And he got us a condo on the water in Oxnard. So we had a little boat slip. We had our little condo where everybody could stay at night. And so we would get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. We'd be out on the water in the fog or in the rain or whatever the weather was. And we'd be out and we'd be shooting out off the coast of Oxnard, and we'd find the calmest spot. Sometimes we had to weigh anchor and head up towards Santa Barbara, and a lot of it ended up being shot right off of Isla Vista out up there next to Santa Barbara because the water was so calm. There's a nice little shelf there that keeps it calm.
So you're out in the boat for 9 days. Now, I mean, how did you manage that? Are you like spinning around out there in the water trying to?
There's a lot of shots in there where we had to do a lot of stabilization because the boat was rocking like crazy all the time, and it was rocking so much that the camera was going up and down so much that if you watched the footage, you started to get seasick. So we had to stabilize the characters, and so there's a lot of like animating the frame to keep it from bouncing all over the place. And but it worked out great. I mean, you barely notice it now, thank God. But there was times, there was a bad weather day that we had to shoot. We couldn't stay inside. There was nothing we could shoot inside. We couldn't move to a different location. We were literally stuck on the boat. So we just had to shoot on the boat. The card playing scene was shot, basically we called it a toilet bowl because we were spinning around. Literally the whole boat was just spinning around, and the wind was just blowing like crazy. We had to re-ADR the whole entire scene. You cannot tell at all. It sounds perfect. It worked perfectly in the end, but we couldn't stop shooting. We just, you know how it is. You
just no option there.
Yeah, there's no option. You can't push it to the end. You just have to get those pages done that day.
So where do we stand with Ladybug right now?
Right now, and it's just completed. We were nominated for Best Picture at the Burbank Film Festival. Just super happy to be nominated. That was great. And then and now we are in the Sunscreen Film Festival West. We'll be screening on October 2nd. So looking forward to that.
Oh, great. I am looking forward to seeing the film myself and seeing what happens with Lexi out there on the ocean.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it gets kind of crazy, I have to say.